So this may well have been a classic case of the cast saving the day. Perhaps, almost. Hi guys, this is Farhad and welcome back to my channel Popcorn Reviews. If you're new to this channel, then please smash that subscribe button now. And as a video ritual, remember to like and comment on the video. Liking and commenting helps fuel the YouTube algorithm. And today, the Malayalam film that we're going to be talking about is Maranamass, which stars Basil Joseph and is produced by Tovino Thomas, written and co-written rather, and directed by Sivaprasad. Now, this was, as you know, it was a Vishu release, and I happened to, miss it for some reason, and so it has, premiered on Sony Live, and it's premiering, so I got my chance to watch it. Now, I came up with a lot of mixed feelings as far as Maranamass, the film, is concerned. Firstly, it has a theme of a black comedy, or you can say a broader stroke, a comedy, which has been the shifting radar of the Malayalam film industry lately. There were a plethora of thrillers, and now, this slowly changing tide into a comedy, which is, by the way, good news, with films like Alappuzha, Gymkhana, or Bromance, to a lesser extent, or even the recently released film Padakkalam. This one was a Vishu release, so it did release with Alappuzha, Gymkhana. Now it has some good news and bad news. The good news is that it is not as bad or average as Bazooka, which was the other Vishu release. The bad news is it's not as good as Alappuzha, Gymkhana as well. It's like in between, the second consolation prize winner as far as the Vishu releases were concerned. But coming to the story and screenplay, Maranamass essentially is, a story about two halves, two contrasting halves, which I will get to in a bit. But just to dwell in on a little bit of characterization, it almost, the structure, here gave me an impression of the Malayalam film Kishkinda Kandam from the structural perspective. It's not from the contextual perspective at all. From the structural perspective, because it was running in all directions. It's not particularly a bad thing, may I add, but it was running in all directions. It was like a scattered cold open, you can say, wherein you're eavesdropped into sort of a setting which have multiple characters. There's a serial killer on the loose. There is a youngster who wants to be a sigma male and likes needling people for his highs. There's a bus conductor who's searching for his father for over 20 years, you can say. There's a bus driver who is finally getting married after 21 failed attempts. There is also a political rally going on, lot of things, there are a lot of characters that are building up. There's also another character who, which I'll get to in a bit, is, seen to be put in an old age home, so to say. Lots going on, and the setting here was a classic Agatha Christie setup, you can say. It was a classic setup in which, there would be a serial killer in the mix, and that everyone would have to guess who it is, something on those lines. But this is not that film. This is not a serial killer film per se. It's a different kind of a ride altogether. Now, coming to the positives, the underlying theme that was there in the film here has to be that of misadventures or chaos. This theme that is there is similar to the comedy films that you would see in the Priyadarshan filmography or Siddiqui Lal filmography. The chaos and the madness is definitely a part of the trajectory as far as the screenplay writing is concerned, and so it immediately reminded me of the last year's Jitu Joseph film called Nunakudi, which by the way was also starring Basil Joseph, and that also was an intertwining tale of misadventures and pop cultural references, lot of that. This is a similar structure, but it's in the black comedy genre. That was, I think, a pure comedy, if I'm not wrong, if my memory jogs me right. But this is a pure, a black comedy genre. And so the setting here, where all characters come under one roof, the roof here is a moving bus. But the most interesting part of the thing is that the events that lead to this characters being eavesdropped into a single setting, and I must also say I didn't know where the story was going, which was also a good thing, which is why I had said, it reminded me of Kishkinda Kandam as far as a structural perspective of the screenplay is concerned. Now, coming back to the point, of the events leading up to the setting, so to say, and it's almost like a threefold investigation that transpires. There are three characters that go in. One is that of Basil Joseph, who is that guy who likes to needle a little, the people, but he's also undergoing a breakup, with his girlfriend, and for some reason, the police suspect him to be the serial killer, right from his looks or his antiques or his previous actions. He's suspect number one. Suspect number two is that old guy that I said, who is dropped in the old age home. He's a nymphomaniac, we call him Turkey in Hindi. He casually gropes even his daughter-in-law and tries to guard it from his naivety of his elderly age, and he is also suspect number two. Suspect number three is that of the character of Rajesh Madhavan, and that character interestingly is the serial killer actually, but nobody really suspects him because he's quietly donning the role of a teacher in a school, and his name is SK. Now don't miss out on that acronym, SK is serial killer, and still people don't focus on it. So it is a kind of a very frivolous kind of a setting with dollops of black humor that actually make it worthwhile in the first hour. Once the bus starts rolling and there's a misadventure that follows, there's also a weapon in the form of a pepper spray that actually comes in the form of a killing mechanism for a particular character. Lots happening, the character dynamics are there, and there is the balance between a black comedy and a bit of a thriller, you can say, that engulfs the narrative. There's also a commentary, in the form of media, the role of the media and how buffoonery rules in that section of the society. Or there's also, a political rally in which the local politician chooses the bus as the, transport vehicle for their rally. Lot of overlapping you can say social commentaries do go on. Even the change of setting is hilarious, when the story shifts to a graveyard. It actually evokes a lot of laughter because you see a couple having a photo shoot of save the date. It's that premarital photo shoot that is going on randomly in the middle of the night as the group of motley crew that are there, the characters that are there, they are wanting to dispose of a body, so to say. And it also leads to a little bit of a twist at the halfway mark, which sets up perfectly for the second hour. But that is where the problem begins. One of the main issues that I had with the screenplay that it was satisfied with where it was headed. I didn't want to shock the viewers too much. It was, I think, in a very safe and comforting space. If it was a football match, I would call it a self-goal, and that is something that the screenplay was guilty of. It boasted of an emotional core out of nowhere, which kind of felt isolated as far as the rest of the drama is concerned, and the jokes also felt repetitive. It had all the ingredients, but it didn't really come together in the second hour. It was watchable, a reason that I'll get to in a bit, but from the writing perspective, I think it was extremely flawed. One of the reasons why Priyadarshan's films or Lal and Siddiqui's films is because they keep on raising the stakes in the drama. Here, all the stakes in the drama were limited to the first hour, but the second hour was a bit of a flawed watch. It did redeem himself towards the end, I would say, but largely, it kind of, faltered in the second hour, which resulted in a bit of a mixed bag for me as far as the writing of the film is concerned. It's not too bad, not too good, fantastic first hour, mediocre second hour, so the overall results are mid. Coming to the technical aspects, the dialogues, the music, and the direction, I think the dialogues here incorporated a lot of pop cultural references. There were also meta references to the other Basil Joseph film, Pone Man, or also Marco, you would say, and those, were in perfectly sync in the tonality of the drama, and it made for a good watch. The dialogues really hit the mark, as far as the cultural and pop cultural references were concerned. The music is good. I think the BGM went on an overdrive here because it was completely designed, to actually make an impact as far as the comedy is concerned. And I think that was, one of the reasons. I wouldn't really call it a flaw because the BGM does leave an impact, but it relied too much on the BGM to make an impact, and I think that was, the contention that I wanted to bring out. The cinematography also is pretty good, and it makes use of the setting wonderfully well to create an ambience. Although I did feel that the setting of the drama that was designed to be in a single night, it kind of became a little monotonous with the framing that was there. Maybe it could have been cut with a little bit of a neon light, so to say, something that you would see in the film Praveen Koda Shappu as well. I think that was a wonderful cinematography piece as far as the technicalities of the film is concerned. It just mixed and matched with the setting that is there. And here I think the neon lights or the colored lights that were there could have been used a little more to break the monotony of the setting. But the editing also is again a mixed bag. Fantastic in the first hour, with the setup and everything. Lags in the second hour, I would say. There were considerable lags in the second hour, which kind of, I felt, the film was 15 minutes too long. 15 minutes could easily have been trimmed off from the film, but it is what it is. Director Sivaprasad, I think, did enough to tell me that he knows what he's doing as a director. He definitely does show spark. In fact, he scores in the harder parts of the film, with the setup that is there, which was so scattered that it needed some skill to hold the narrative together, which he did pretty well. The flaw came in the second hour, in which he had to amp up the intensity either of the laughter or the drama or the thriller. It just went on a plateau, so to say, and I think that was the flaw in the second hour, which was relatively easier than the setup that was given. So it was kind of a mixed bag, but I think Shiva Prasad definitely does, leave a mark. Probably Shiva Prasad, the co-writer, let Shiva Prasad, the director, down a little bit, I would say, but it's still not a bad piece of direction overall speaking. Coming to the performances, I think it is the performances that actually save the day, to actually hold the narrative together and make it watchable by the end of it, right from Jomon and Pooja Mohan Raj, who play the couple at the graveyard. I think hilarious to the core, superb. They definitely do leave a mark. Even that old man, Paulos, I think his surname is Paulos, if I'm not wrong, definitely was having fun and did a wonderful job. Suresh Krishna and Siju Sunny. Siju Sunny is also the co-writer of the film. Both of them, do a wonderful job. Although the character traits kind of, limited their performances in a way that it didn't build on their initial trait that the characters were introduced with, even the girl that was there, Amishma, I think she did a wonderful job. Anishma, Anil Kumar, good screen presence, very sincere with her act, did a solid job. Some of the other actors also do well, but it is again minimum guarantee star Basil Joseph at the helm of things, and he definitely does deliver here yet again. You see the range of a performer in the 3 films that he's already done this year, and we are barely into the first half of the year and he's already done 3 films, from Ponman, where he played a helpless, lone kind of a person who then becomes a toughened soul, or Praveen Koda Shappu, a frivolous cop who eventually, finds his calling in the case, or here, a frivolous individual, you can say, who actually manages to leave a mark and manages to tickle your funny bone. I mean, the marijuana sequence that was there was not particularly well written, but it is the prowess of the actor, you know, who held the performance so well that he made it immensely watchable by the end of it, you know. So I definitely felt that Basil Joseph definitely left a mark here. Some of the other actors also do a wonderful job. So it is safe to say that the cast saves the day for the film. So overall, I would say exactly that. You know, Maranamass is a film which is a mixed bag for me as far as the writing is concerned, but it is saved by a tremendous performance, collective performance by the cast. You know, I forgot to mention Rajesh Madhavan as well. He was phenomenal as a serial killer, you know, SK that was there. So Maranamass is a film that was a mixed bag, I said, but tremendously saved by a fantastic performance by the motley, cast members that are there. Wonderful performances save this film and make it watchable. It's not a bad watch at all. Fantastic first hour, as I would say, mediocre second hour. So that was my thoughts, you know. Let me know your thoughts on what did you make of the film Maranamass. How was it received? What did you feel? What was the theatre response? Let me know in the comments when we'll discuss the shit out of the film. Also, if you are liking the video, remember to smash that like button. You can alternately dislike the video as well, but make sure to leave a reaction, you know. Leaving a reaction or engaging in the video helps a small creator like me, helps to push the YouTube algorithm also. You can also share this video with your friends and family, ask them to subscribe to the channel. Let's grow this Digi family together. My detailed review of Maranamass is available on my site, Popcorn Reviews with a double S, the link of which is in the description box below. Remember to check that out as well. Also, you can also follow me in different social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, and Nokio. All the links are in the description box. I do not end up making a video on everything that I watch, but I do write a lot. You know the drill. So you can leave a follow there as well and on my site. And I'll see you again soon with another video. Till then, thank you so much for your love and support and take care of yourselves. Cheers.